Well, hey, Diet Disruptors, Carrie here, and welcome to another episode of Diet Disruptor Podcast. And today may feel like, wait, what? Carrie, you're a nutritionist. Why are we talking about this? This doesn't sound like anything to do with dieting or nutrition. Yet it does. See, one of the things that I have learned in all of the years of the work that I have done, first as a behavior specialist and then as a nutritionist, is that if I just gave you a meal plan and told you, okay, yes, blood sugar stabilization is the root foundation of your body's love language, and here is how you balance your blood sugar through food. Because if you don't think about balancing your blood sugar through food, your body's going to have to try and accommodate and adjust and just deal with the havoc of being on a blood sugar roller coaster most of your life. And that results in all of the things that you're feeling: weight gain, fatigue, cravings, and eventually high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even heart disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer, dementia. All of that can be attributed to a dysregulated blood sugar. All right, Carrie, so just show me how to eat so I can balance my blood sugar. Ah, I have tried that. I have done that. Of course, I teach people how to eat, but that will not be enough. Why? Well, years ago when I first started out, I would teach people how to eat. And it was amazing. People were like, all right, like this is working. What's your definition of working? Well, not only were they losing weight, but they had more energy. They didn't count calories. They weren't tracking. It was so simple. It was sustainable. It was satisfying. Amazing. And then I would check in with them 6 months, 12 months down the road. Bam, they all fell off. Why? If I was finally giving them the last nutritional advice they ever needed, if I was finally helping them to live with what we called food freedom, then why would they fall off? Well, I realized I wasn't putting on the skill set that I had as a behavior specialist. I was a behavior specialist for more than 20 years. I have been in just about every school district of in or every state in this country I have been in a school in. As a national educational consultant right before I retired, I have seen it all and recognized that not only in my work as a behavior specialist for students, which then translated into me working with teachers to help them with their students, was that time management, recognizing how time managed us versus us managing time was a massive contributor to stress, to productivity, to learning, and to all aspects of life. And it might sound kind of crazy, but time manages us if we don't recognize that. And very often we don't know what to do about it. But when time manages us, we don't manage anything in our life very well. So I started seeing this with students where when they were so unorganized, right? And like I was a middle school teacher for the beginning part of my career, and kids would come in with their backpacks all a mess. They would not use their time efficiently. So if I was working with them or if they were in a study hall, they would just like lose focus and have a hard time getting anything done. And then when they got home, they weren't getting their homework done. The parents didn't know how to support them. And I realized at the core of what I needed to do to help them be more productive, to help them to be able to show up for themselves, was help get them organized and managing their time. Well, then translate that into when I worked with teachers. And I think a lot of the times when we talk to other adults, we just assume like everybody's kind of figured it out. It's busy, life is chaotic. But when are we ever taught about how to keep time from managing us? We really aren't. There's no curriculum about this in school. We're certainly not learning this in university. And we get thrown into life as an adult and never really learn these skills. So, as a person who worked with teachers, I would see that these strategies, skill sets, mindsets that I was working on with them would be completely derailed because of chaos. Totally just thrown upside down when life got really busy and when they felt like there was just too much to do in a day and they couldn't get it all done. The things that would often come to the bottom of the pile were the things that were actually the most important, but they weren't the things that saw the most immediate return. So, like, if you had report card grades due and you had a deadline, everything else fell to the wayside instead of managing our time to ensure that not only did report card grades get done, but also we were able to show up for ourselves and show up for our students. And then when we're stressed, right, and we're super busy and things are chaotic, how does that then contribute to our mood, to our stress? And all of that contributes to our health. We know stress is one of our six spinning plates that we talk about: nutrition, movement, exercise, sleep, hydration, supplementation. Managing our stress is one of them. When we have chronic stress, it impacts everything about our body. As somebody that has often wears a continuous glucose monitor to be able to see glucose spikes in my day, it's not just the food that we eat. It's also when I am in high stress, it's almost like it doesn't matter what I eat. My cortisol levels have spiked my glucose so high, so consistently that it sometimes feels impossible. And when we are living in a state of chaos and high stress, and we always feel like we're behind, then we're wreaking havoc on our health. So as I started working with women to be able to show them that we actually have to live a lifestyle in order to make this work, that I could teach you the last nutritional advice you'll ever need, but you'll never actually do it if you don't have a very strong why and systems in place to help you manage time instead of time managing you. So we have a little series right now. And it is a perfect time of the year to be able to dig into that because we have like a little bit of newfound energy in the new year. And I always say that nothing magical happens on January 1st. However, if we have a little bit of motivation, we should use it like rocket fuel. So we're going to do a series of little bits of kind of podcast mini series, if you will, on how we can manage time so time doesn't manage us, so that we can actually do the things that we need to do. People ask me all the time, Carrie, how do you have 30 hours in a day? And I'm like, I don't have 30 hours in a day, but I am running three businesses. I do run an Airbnb, so really a fourth business. I have two kids. I have a husband. I have two dogs. I live between two different states, between Colorado and Connecticut. And I still manage to work out or move my body in some way every single day, sleep 7 to 8 hours, eat, cook, and have margin in my life to be able to do the things I love to do. Just last night, my husband and I went out and we played pickleball. The night before that, we did hot yoga together. We often take walks together. How do I have time to manage all of that? Well, because time does not manage me, I manage time. And I'm going to, over these next few podcasts, teach you my secret to how I achieve those things. And this isn't just theory. I live this every single day. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, you can go to @Carrie_Lupoli. Go find me on Instagram and you will see that every single day I show up for morning time. We're going to get into the pieces of morning time as we go through this series. But every single day, and I will tell you why morning time in one of our episodes, why morning time is just so important. But every single day I show up. Usually it's around 6:45 in the morning Eastern time. When I'm living in Colorado, it is 6:45 Mountain time. But regardless, even if you don't join me live, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be on my grid and in my stories. And I am sharing a daily declaration. I've written 100 daily declarations. And so once we get to the 100th one, then we go on and we start all over again at number one. 100 daily declarations that are going to help us set the tone for our day. But even more than that, I take 10 minutes to teach you around the concepts of productivity, time management, and your body. So make sure you're joining me on the Instagram for that. So today we're just going to talk mostly about time, what it is, why it's so important, and you're going to have an activity at the end of this that's going to help you truly start to take a hold of time so time doesn't take a hold of you. Now, let's think about time. Why am I so passionate about it? Well, water. It comes down to the concept of water. If you pour a glass of water or any sort of liquid, you know that it takes the form of the container that it's in. So if you decided to dump out a bucket of water onto your wood floors in your house, you know that that water is going to go everywhere because it will take the form of whatever container it's in, whether it's the wood floors of your house, a bucket, a glass, whatever. Time is just like that. If we aren't putting it in a container, if we aren't respecting it, it will just take the form of whatever container we put it in. So take social media, for example. Social media is such a suck on our time. Why? Because it actually triggers this dopamine hit in our body, which makes us completely unaware of time. And the lack of awareness of time is like throwing water all over your wood floor. There's no container when you aren't aware. And what we really want, what I really want to try to work on with you is to recognize that your awareness of time is just like a glass. When you pour water in a glass, it forms into that container. When you are aware of time, you have more control over it and you can use it for so much more than you probably already are. That being said, I need us all to know that we are not machines. We are not robots. We cannot fill every minute of every day with productivity or with super intentionality. We have to be intentional more than we're not, but we are not robots. And especially for busy working women, if we are literally making a to do list of 500 things, there's no way we can get it all done, but we put it out there and we feel completely overwhelmed because we don't have a solid plan on how it's going to get done. We don't really know how much time each thing is going to take. And when we are tired because we're human and we can't get done all the things that we set out to do, then we feel like a failure. That's not serving us at all. And it's certainly not making us more productive. So there has to be this awareness that while I control time and time is not going to control me, while I have to be very aware and intentional, I also have to have margin in my life. And I have to be able to recharge. Recharging isn't just when we're sleeping, although that is a massive piece of it, but it is also throughout the day. Being intentional, aware, and aware are the two biggest pieces of this. And throughout the series, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I respect time so intensely because although it's renewable, it is completely consumable. We cannot get it back. And as I go into this year turning 50, it's like, golly, or like one of my coaches, Coach Karen Lynn says, good gravy. Time goes by faster now, doesn't it? We have this sense of urgency. Like I don't have as much time as I did 20 years ago. I can't get it back. I can't control what I did in the past. I actually can't control the future. I can't control the past. All I can control is right now. And I need to set myself up to be as intentional, as productive as possible because I have this only one life I've been given. And what a shame it will be if when I die, that God looks at me and says, you did good, but gosh, good gravy. I had so much more planned for you. I don't want to waste this life that I've been given. And I want to live it for as long as possible with the quality of life as high as possible without having to have my kids take care of me one day. We need a strong sense of what are we doing and why are we doing it? Because when we really are aware of that, we will pull back from things that just don't matter. How many of you track what you're eating in an app? We need to recognize that those little bits and pieces of time of tracking our calories, tracking our food, it is taking hours and hours of our life. Think about this. If you just took 10 minutes to track calories, which I guarantee takes longer than that, we don't, you don't need to. It's counterproductive. It sucks joy out of you and it sucks your time. But let's just say you took 10 minutes. Like every time you ate, you took 2 minutes to enter it into an app and it took you 10 minutes a day. It takes you longer than that. But let's just pretend. And you do it 7 days a week. That's over an hour a week. Okay. If there's 52 weeks in a year, you're talking about well over 52 hours of time you are entering food into an app. For what? Because it's certainly not helping you get healthier. It's actually sucking your health, your joy, your truly so many pieces of what you could be doing instead. 52 hours plus, because we're talking 70 minutes a week. It's actually more than 52 hours. I can't do that much math right now. That is more than a week of working full time that you have just spent entering things into an app that you will never get back. So time will take whatever container we put it in. It is renewable, but it is completely consumable. We will not get it back. And it is a thing I think we have to respect more than anything else. I want to make the most out of my time. I am careful about what I say yes to and even more careful about what I say no to because all of those pieces take time. And I just refuse to do things anymore that are not going to be around my big why. And I have really big visions of my purpose, just like all of you should. Every single one of us are fearfully, wonderfully made for a purpose. And it is not to weigh a certain amount, it's not to find the right diet, but it is to be as healthy as possible so we can live as long as possible to do that purpose. A body in motion stays in motion. We have to be moving every day. Food serves our body and food serves our soul. We have to be serving our body more than we serve our soul, or our soul fill in meals are not going to be as enjoyable, but they're going to kill us. We cannot have to have our kids take care of us when we're older because we did not take care of ourselves today, because that is sucking them of their time. That is not fair. So, why is it that people tell me they think I have 30 hours in a day? I don't. We all have exactly the same amount of time. And this is going to be your very first activity. The very first thing you're going to do is you're going to realize and act on the idea that we all have exactly the same amount of time every week. In fact, we all have 168 hours in a week. That is it. 168 hours. So what? It is time is the great equalizer. I don't care if you have 14 cajillion dollars in the bank or somebody else has 14 cents. We all have 168 hours in the week and we all use it very differently. We fill that our space with 168 hours. And are you doing more of what you should be doing or less? Do you even know where your time goes? Like I said, that 10 minutes of entering calories in a nap or losing 20 minutes scrolling mindlessly on your phone, it adds up. And it's scary to me because I just want to make the most of this time that I have. So 168 hours, this is going to be your first activity. You get a piece of paper and you're going to write 168 at the top. And I take my phone out and I'm just going to pull up my calculator because I'm going to do a little math with you. So if you take, I've done this activity so many times with so many people and it is eye-opening. 168 hours in a week. Now, one of the most important things that we have to do is prioritize sleep. Sleep is literally like the glue that holds everything together in our life, our emotions, mental health. Like if you saw a post and you were like, I guarantee you if you do this one thing, you going to increase your body's metabolism. If you do this one thing, you are going to improve any signs of anxiety and depression. If you do this one thing, you are going to stay alive longer. If you do this one thing, you're going to have more energy. Blah, 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 right? This one thing, it is sleep. The research is undeniable, and we don't prioritize sleep enough. In fact, I've worked for a few different companies before, and they have said, hashtag team no sleep. I mean, our doctors and their residents, like it's the badge of honor to say that you've been working for like 400 hours straight. It's outrageous. In fact, one night of dysregulated sleep impacts the insulin resistance in your body like that is a type 2 diabetic. That's no good because as soon as you get a diabetes diagnosis, if you don't start to do something different and change what you're doing in terms of what you're putting into your body and how you're moving it, you will die 15 years, at least 15 years earlier than what you should be dying. At least. So you don't want respect your sleep. So let's say we're going to prioritize sleep and I'm just going to go and give you 7 hours a night of sleep. That's what you if you think you only need 4 hours of sleep, you're wrong. So 49 hours is 7 days of 7 hours of sleeping. So I'm going to take 168 and I'm going to subtract 49 from that. I have 119 hours. Now, let's say we work 40 hours a week. I'm going to subtract 40 hours from that. I now have 79 hours left in the week. And now this is where you are going to actually, if you don't work full time, then you didn't even have to do that 40 hours, whatever you do work. If you work more than 40 hours, you're going to put that in too. But recognize I've already slept. I have already worked 40 hours and I still have 119 hours. Okay. Now I'm going to say I'm going to work out. I don't even care if you work out an hour a day. You could work out 30 minutes a day, whatever it is. Let's just say you work out an hour a day, 5 days a week. Okay. You might not even do that much, but let's just say 5 hours of that. Now we're at 74 hours. We have slept, we have worked, and we have worked out, and I still have 74 hours in my week. Now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get a piece of paper, you're going to write 168, and you're going to subtract your sleep time for the week. You're going to subtract your work time for the week. And then I want you to brainstorm all the other things that you've got going on and give yourself a weekly total. And you are then going to subtract that from your 168. and you are going to see what you have left over. Now, if you truly do not have any time left over, well, you can't do that. No wonder you're stressed out. And there are very few people when they have done this really truly don't have time left over. But if you are one of them, then you need to fix that because you don't have more than 168 hours. I can't give you more than 168 hours. Nobody gets more than 168 hours. So if you add it up and it's 170 hours, something has to go. And the big rocks, like sleep, can't be one of them. So where else are you going to learn to say no? Because if you don't, you will not be able to actually live the life that you say you want. So that is your first activity. And I'd love for you to be able to comment. Either go into my Instagram, leave me a message, comment here in the podcast. Depending on where you are, leave a review and tell me what you took from this. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. You can go join my free Facebook group, Diet Disruptor Squad. I want to hear how this activity is going. And then on the next one, we're going to dive into what you do with this information. But right now, 1% a day, this is all you're going to do. All right. I can't wait to hear from you. How are you using your 168 hours? Go jump into my Instagram so that I can see you live with me every morning at Carrie_Lapoli and leave a review so I know how you're liking this so far. And then I can give you more of the content that you want. Thanks.